Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and theme park rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. Let's talk about Marvel's first female-led superhero movie. After the release of Wonder Woman in 2017, DC was put on the map for creating a film based on a superheroine. Little girls had someone to look up to now. Obviously, DC had been struggling with the release of their previous three movies in their proposed cinematic universe, but this put them on the path of good things to come. While DC was doing that, Marvel still needed their solo superhero movie, and what better opportunity to do so than with Black Widow? But they didn't make that. Instead, they went the route with another well known female hero from Marvel. The movie did extremely well at the box office, being one of the hits of 2019, but it also received some heavy criticism from people, exposing the performance of its lead. But it's my turn to take a look at this film today, folks. So here it is, the first female-led Marvel film, even though we all know which film should have been the first female-led Marvel film, Captain Marvel. Set in the 1990s, of course, Marvel Studios' Captain Marvel is an all-new adventure from a previously unseen period in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that follows the journey of Carol Danvers, played by Brie Larson, as she becomes one of the universe's most powerful heroes. While a galactic war between two alien races reaches Earth, Danvers finds herself and a small cadre of allies at the center of the maelstrom. Now, I am aware that this story is full of flaws, such as annoying plot holes, as well as being extremely predictable, and has some exposition, so the story suffers heavily. However, it has some fun moments, but the movie needs something great to keep you hyped for the next movie in the franchise. But I won't explain all the plot holes and bad storytelling in this film. Everyone else has, that's why. So let's just go through the movie and see what's to note. The characters. Everyone complains about Carol Danvers in this movie. They say that Brie Larson can't act and that she has no character development. This is very similar to the problems that Rey had in The Last Jedi, where she was boring due to bad writing, but the difference is that Daisy Ridley tried in her performance, but Brie Larson didn't. She has the same expression on her face throughout the movie, and it gets old so fast. But with that said, there were some scenes I thought were good, and it was the final scene with the Avengers and when she gains her powers, even though I saw it coming. So yes, Captain Marvel, the lead hero, is boring, but at least she has good moments. Nick Fury, on the other hand, was great. While the plot holes stick out like a sore thumb, Sam Jackson's performance keeps him the best character in this film. Although I do personally prefer the more serious Nick Fury. And this is not how he should be written. And yes, the way he lost his eye is so stupid that I cringe every time. But at least I love Nick Fury enough to give him leeway. The Rambos, Maria and Monica, are okay at best, but they're just kind of forgettable. Marvel is decent, but only because she's played by a great actress, Annette Bening. She's not written well at all, though. As for Goose the Cat, well, they just made that character to sell more toys. That kinda sucks, but the cat is at least cute. And as for the villains, oh god, I have to say this. These are the worst villains in the MCU so far. Jan Rog is so terribly written. He was supposed to be the mentor character, but it feels like the script was changed at the last minute and they made him the villain. He was badly written, and his defeat was so bland. That being said, Jude Law does a good job playing him because it's Jude Law. He's always going to give a good performance. As for the villains that could have been, the Skrulls were built up well, but it was revealed that they were just friendly aliens who needed a home. Anybody who has read the comics or watched the spectacular animated show, The Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, you'll know that the Skrulls are violent aliens who swap bodies with anyone and they find and take their place and attempt to take over Earth by stealing information whilst at the same time fighting the Kree. They had such a good opportunity, but they went the lazy route instead. So they pretty much botched the Skrulls, except for two things. The first is that Ben Mendelsohn does a great job playing Talos, the lead Skrull. And the second is the amazing makeup. But other than that, these characters were terrible versions of the Skrulls. So, yeah, the characters are mediocre, but this movie was pretty lazily written, just so Marvel could be like, there, now we have a solo female superhero movie. Take that, DC. Yeah, you lost to DC this time, Marvel. Sorry. Okay, how are the visuals? Well, they're extremely well done. My favorite effect is Sam Action's de-aged effect. I didn't even know they use CGI for his face, as Sam Jackson is one of those actors that naturally ages. And if CGI is so good that I can't tell it is being used, you know it's a good effect. As for the other effects, the makeup for the aliens like the Skrulls and Dr. Minerva, as well as the CGI for Goose the spaceships and the blasts. As for the music, well, I can't remember it at all. In fact, it's hard to remember the style they went with, but at least it had effort put into it, which gives it a lot more leeway. And as for the action scenes, well, despite being predictable, I loved the scenes in the ship where Danvers escapes and the final battle. That's really all that's worth noting. The other action scenes are just standard fun. Okay, it may come off that I hate Captain Marvel, but I just think it's a decent movie. Although it has an extremely predictable and flawed story, mediocre characters, and forgettable music, at least the action and the effects are good and great. So, with that, Marvel's first female led superhero film, not the first worthy one, that would be later, gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me. It's a fun ride, but it just needed stronger writing and stronger music. Well, that's it for this review. If you feel like it, leave your thoughts and comments on the movie in the comments section below, and tune in next week when we review Avengers Endgame for our finale. With that said, my name is Mr. CCS, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.